network security protocols. So where we are going to cover SSH, SSL, PGP, and IPsec. Okay. So this session will go for almost 2.5 hours duration. Like we will first take you throughout the various security issues. Then we talk about algorithms and how these protocols are built. Okay. Let us make the session interesting, being an afternoon session. So we'll go slow, and in case you have any queries, you can raise immediately, and we'll also have interactions in between. So I'm just stopping the video and then sharing the screen. Naresh, is it visible? Okay, fine, yeah. So the topic which we are going to cover is on cryptography and network security protocols. So what we will do is that first 15 minutes or so, we will try to understand the problem. Okay. So directly jumping into the cryptographic algorithms is not the right thing. That's what I feel. First, we need to see the relevance of these cryptographic algorithms. We are not going to the mathematical part of it, but being the responsible person to secure the IT infrastructure for government infrastructure. So what is important is we need to know the importance of these things. And then whenever you try to choose the algorithms and keys, we need to have clarity on which key links are more appropriate and other things like that. Okay. So for that reason, first we'll try to understand the cryptographic algorithm. But prior to that, first we'll try to see what kind of problems in our overall cybersecurity scenario this is going to solve. Okay, that is our objective. So before I really go to the topics of cryptographic algorithms and all, let us try to have some basic understanding about what are the security requirements in the IT infrastructure which has evolved over the period. Okay, so now let me take one example. Let us say there is a personal computer. Okay, so we have a system which let us say that Naresh is owning one on the computer, and it is not connected through any wire to the external world. Okay, not a part of the network. Okay, it is used in a standalone mode, and it is available with him in a particular room, and he is alone trying to make use of the IT infrastructure. Okay, so when he uses that particular thing, okay, so what way he's going to secure the documents and other things inside that from other people from damaging or anything like that. So definitely, because it is not connected through any wire to the external world, if he enables some physical security to that, okay, so only he is allowed to access, and other times it is kept in a lock and key kind of thing, then definitely can secure the IT infrastructure. Okay, that is about a personal things. Now coming to the centralized environments. Okay, so centralized environment in the sense, okay, so when we talk about Unix operating system and other things like that, so over the period, enough care is taken to enable multiple users to access the system. Okay, so because you are aware, like 30-40 years back, these are like it's not that easy for every person to hire or buy some kind of thing, these personal computers or anything like that. Okay, so what happened? These systems are designed in such a manner so you can efficiently utilize the resources by allowing multiple users to access the system. Okay, even in the colleges, it used to be like this. So when we go to the lab, in one console, a corner of the room, there used to be a glass kind of thing, console room. So where this the central server used to be kept, central computer used to be kept, installed with Unix kind of operating system. And in the lab, we used to see some dummy terminals, 30-40 terminals, dummy terminals. When I say dummy terminal, it has got only the monitor and the keyboard. Okay, and all these dummy terminals are connected to the central server. So in the lab, let us say some data structures module is going on. So during the lab timings, the students of that particular batch, 40 people will come and sit in front of the dummy terminals. But what is happening? All the people are trying to access the same central environment. Okay, they are accessing because see, it is a multi-user operating system which allows multiple people to access the system at the same time. But how do you allow multiple people to interact with the same system? For that reason, these dummy terminals are enabled, keyboard and monitor. Through each of these dummy terminals, one user is able to interact with the server. But all the programs of the user, creating editor, compilers, okay, all the RAM, main memory, even file system on secondary storage device, and all these things are available only at the central computer. Only through this interface, keyboard and monitor, they are able to interact with the central machine. Okay. Now, when you power on this particular terminal, a login prompt will come. Okay. So where user is asked to provide the login and password. Now, let us try to understand the security requirements in these environments. Okay. So we understood that it's a multi-user operating environment. Multiple people at a time are able to access, and it is limited to a building. It is not a two autonomous systems connected over the network. It is not like that. It is a single machine, but it is allowing multiple people to access that. Okay. Now it is limited to a room or a building. Okay. Now what kind of security is required? So definitely we can enable the physical security in that building or room. But what is more important is only the legitimate people who are allowed to access that central server, they need to use that particular machine. Okay. And any other person other than the authorized person should not be allowed to access that particular machine. And when n number of legitimate people are accessing the machine, one user should not try to disturb the other user activities. Okay. So that is where is taken care at the operating system level. Okay. So now what happens, whenever you power on your dummy terminal, a login prompt will come where you will be providing login and password. Okay. Once you are identified as a legitimate person, a shell will be forked to you and you start interacting with your central server. Okay. Now you are getting a place in the file system. Okay. You are put in as a part of the file system, especially in the home directory. You can see that /user under that you have the different home directories where you'll be able to access that part of the file system. Okay. And there are various things like the giving the privilege also. What are the privileges on the OS resources on the owner, people, the group to which he belongs, and every other user of the central environment. Like that, different types of users are categorized at the OS level, and also privileges are given to these types of users on the different OS resources in the file system. Okay, so that's how these kind of security is taken care so that legitimate people are allowed to access the machine, and also one user is not allowed to disturb the other user activities. Okay, so hope you are following. So this is the kind of just we are trying to understand this way. Okay, so login password to verify the credentials whether he's enabled access to the system, and another thing is all the OS at the OS even at the main memory RAM also. One user is protected, memory is protected from other user by the operating system. So one program of one belonging to one user cannot disrupt the activity. That's how these systems are designed. Okay, this is how security is taken care in this kind of environment. So central computer server is accessed through terminals or dummy. Setup is limited to a building, and okay, it is not connected through anyone to the external world. Okay, and security mechanisms are password-based authentication to identify the legitimate user, and access controls for resources at the file system level in terms of read, write, execute, and also for different types of users. This is a kind of thing is done. Now coming to the present networks. Now we are living in this particular scenario, right? So you all can just have a look at the right hand side. Now our networks are very, very complex. Okay. Now what is happening? The autonomous systems. Okay, it can be either a laptop, it can be a workstation, it can be a server. So which can where on each of the autonomous machine you will be able to carry out the activity. Okay, it has got its own operating system, own file system, secondary storage, RAM, everything. At the same time, from your machine, you are also able to access the other machines of the network. The network means it can be either a LAN, WAN, or the internet which is spread around the globe. Okay, and now in the present scenario, we have wired network, wired protocols and wireless protocols through which. So we have, along with the laptops, workstations, and other things, all the embedded devices, including smartphones, printers, IP cameras, okay, home routers, like that. All these things are part of our network. Okay, so now this is the kind of networks in which we are currently working. Okay, so either at office or at home. Okay, we are trying to access these kind of things. Okay, now see, technologically we have grown and continuously we are evolving. Okay, which is creating a lot of convenience to the user, but at the same time, the same technology is also helping the adversary or bad guys to penetrate into the systems. Okay, so that's where if you look at it, day in, day out, we are trying to listen to a lot of things like viruses, worms, ransomware, botnets, phishing attacks, distributed denial of service attacks, drive-by download attacks, SQL injection, exploit kits, crypto jacking, or malicious crypto mining in terms of blockchain and all. shadow IT threats. Okay, so without the knowledge of the IT people of the network, they may be accessing through the cloud some services from the office, or without the knowledge of the IT managers, the people would have opened a hotspot and then trying to connect through that. Okay, advanced persistent threats, 0 days, like that. If you list out, there are many kind of threats through which are trying to penetrate our in our networks. Okay, now this is the present threat scenario. So we are not going to the details about this particular thing. We are trying to understand the various issues in this.